Episode 6, Showtime with Sharkey and Josh. What's the movie that we watched tonight?
DUNE.
DUNE.
My planet Arrakis is so beautiful when the sun is low. Rolling over the sands, you can see spice in the air. The outsiders ravage our lands in front of our eyes. Their cruelty to my people is all I've known. What's to become of our world? Paul.
A boy.
Hey, Duncan, can I trust you with something?
Yes, always. You know that.
I've been having dreams about a girl on Arrakis. I don't know what it means.
Dreams make good stories. But everything important happens when we're awake. Look at you. Put on some muscle?
I did?
No.
We are House Atreides. There is no call we do not answer. There is no faith that we betray.
Smile, Gurney.
I am smiling.
The Emperor asks us to bring peace to Arrakis. House Atreides accepts.
I know you. There's something awakening in my mind.
You need to face your fears.
Come with me. You need to be ready. You've never met Harkonnens before. They're not human, they're brutal.
The Duke's son sees too much.
This is my DUNE. Kill them all. God in heaven.
Get everything with guns off the ground. Go!
This is an extermination. They're picking my family off one by one.
Let's fight like demons.
Dad, what if I'm not the future of House Atreides?
A great man doesn't seek to lead. He's called to it. But if your answer is no, you'll still be the only thing I ever needed you to be. My son. If anything happens, will you protect Paul?
With my life.
Only together can we stand a chance.
It's time.
So you were pumped on this movie.
I was pumped on the director of this movie.
Okay. All right. Because I remember you were like, are we going to get to see DUNE? I was like, yeah,
Yes.
100% we're going to get to see DUNE. So what is your thought?
I
First, before we give your thought, what is your history with DUNE first?
zero.
Zero. You didn't see the
Not
original.
only is it zero, I don't care about Jodorowsky. I don't care about David Lynch's Dune, and I don't care about the book.
So the whole thing, you just didn't.
Don't care.
Just completely blank. All right.
Nope.
So now,
Irrelevant to me.
what's your thought on the movie?
I think it's great. I think it's excellent world building, and it's what I would expect from Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve. Yeah, French, baby. French. That's the one.
Frenching it up.
So like, okay, so for you, the movie is a visual experience, like mostly, because you don't really care about like the whole mythos.
Everything's going to be like a visual experience for me from like just the way I look at things.
Yeah.
Naturally, I'll gravitate to that.
But you also have attention to storyline, because that's like a thing that in my mind,
to go with.
that's what I have
the
as a
visuals.
Sharkey movie. Like I have my things. Like there's a Liam movie, there's an Eva
Right.
movie. A Sharkey movie, visually compelling, linear storyline.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
did this cover those bases for you?
It did, right? So the thing is, he's probably the best at melding your real life with virtual.
Okay, all right. Like the whole balloons and all that stuff, the
I mean,
airlifting.
none of that stuff's real. Like you're creating this world that is all pretty much going to be like CG, and you really run the risk of it looking like a shitty Marvel movie.
You do. Yeah, I
and
get
it
that.
doesn't when he does.
It looks like
And
Star Warsy. Did you think that? Like it looked
better
like
than Star Wars.
dirt. Well, I
It
mean,
looks
like
better than any Rogue One. It looks better than any of that stuff.
it looks like a melding of a future with grime. Would you agree to that?
Yeah.
It looks like a grimy
It looks
future.
it looks like the future, and when I begin watching it, I immediately buy into that place would be real.
that would exist. That
Yeah.
Arrakis is real.
Yeah, 100%.
Fuck. So what did you think about like the story then?
I like it. No, it's fine.
You're
It's
cool with
fine.
it. Like
Yeah.
you like the whole.
Yep. He didn't try to
He didn't
do
try
too
to.
much with it, right? Like, so here's the thing.
But there's so much in there.
This is the example that I keep coming back to. The Shining is a Kubrick movie.
Mhm.
It's not a Stephen King
It's
movie.
not.
That
It's a
then
Kubrick movie.
Kubrick then directed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is not the written Dune material. It might be,
kinda
or might
think
not
it's
be.
more the
but
Dune
But he
thing.
kept it very, very simple for me to understand. It didn't go
It
insane,
didn't. Yeah.
right? Like
See,
it
that's
just
the thing.
stayed very on track.
The thing about it is, I never read the book. But the whole part of the book is that there are words within words, there are phrases within phrases, and there's like many layers to it, which the
How
David Lynch movie
confusing
tried to
would
do.
that be if
Yeah.
you tried to do that?
And they did, and it just
Right.
was like, you know, Paul Atreides is looking and thinking things, and like they're all happening at the same time. There's a lot. This movie cuts that out completely. It's just straight what's happening as you can see it. So I definitely felt a lot more connected to the story in that regard. For the record, I love Dune, the movie.
You love David Lynch's Dune.
I fucking love David Lynch's Dune. I love Joe Dorowski's Dune. Like, I love all of it. This hit all the notes for me as far as that fandom goes.
Sure.
And I think that's
So is
like
that why you'd be interested in seeing this movie?
I was interested from Jump Street just because I love Dune.
Gotcha.
And I love
didn't
Arrival.
have that experience.
I like The Arrival. You liked Arrival too,
I
right?
love Arrival.
I thought Arrival was awesome. Johan Johansson did the soundtrack for that.
So good.
And, like, it's just beautifully shot, beautifully directed.
Beautifully acted.
This movie hits all those notes too for me.
Yep.
It just looked amazing. What do you think about Timothée Chalamet?
He was good. He was very good. He was totally
Right.
believable. I thought that he was kind of, how do you say, he looks very feminine.
Exactly that. He looks
He
not
looks-
like a duke of a house.
He is not an action hero. That's what I mean to
But
say.
the thing is, they make him like. I thought that the movie did a really good job of him generating into this. Like, he ends the movie with this fucking badass battle.
When he uses his voice, and
Oh yeah, but see, that's the other thing about this
like,
movie.
that's insane.
That the voice
Oh
was
man,
so,
that's so
good.
good.
Did you like it?
Oh, it's so good.
Because like the
The
Dolby
sound design
sound.
is so good. Yes.
The thing is, we saw it in a huge theater
Mm-hmm.
with an amazing sound system. That when he used the voice, the chairs were shaking.
And that is not even the biggest way to view this movie. So when this movie was shot, apparently it was shot with the idea of where it was going to be viewed.
Right.
And that changes the aspect ratio of this movie.
So we could see
so
it
I
on
think
IMAX. Yeah.
It's a significant deal wider,
It's such
which
a
makes
huge
the world
movie.
even bigger, which is,
Yeah.
again, this is what Denny does very, very well, is creating these worlds to move a story through.
Yeah. No, 100% agree. I thought that the casting was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Jason Momoa is good.
I was not real pumped on Momoa being in this. He was good.
But Duncan Idaho, the character dies in the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
He comes in, says hi to Paul, and then the fight happens and he just gets killed. So him having a whole bigger role in this movie was like, yo, that shit is dope. Because you know. And then Gunny Halleck, what'd you think about Josh Brolin as Gunny Halleck?
So I keep expecting Brolin to disappoint me in something,
He kind of has.
and he hasn't really.
He's
no.
like crushing it. Him and
Yeah,
his son.
because he does roles. It's like, yeah, this should just be like a whatever movie.
Mm.
But then he does very well in it, even if the movie
Right.
isn't very good.
Dude, and like Patrick Stewart played his character in the Lynch
Sure.
Dune. And like they had lines like, you know, mood and like all that stuff. Like there are a couple lines that they cut out, but the lines that they kept in, I was like, yo, that shit is hard. Like it's hard as fuck. Like all the stuff that he says to Paul Atreides, You know, like when you fight. Like all that shit was hard. And
You believed it.
he played it like a military, like a Arlie Emery, like one of those like, you know, like a military dude.
Yeah.
What do you think about Oscar Isaac in this movie?
I love Oscar Isaac.
He's so good in this movie.
He's beyond good, and he's just versatile. Like you go from like I always think of what is Ex Machina.
Yeah, Ex Machina. Yeah.
All right.
Or Inside Llewyn Davis. Like that dude.
But that's what I just the range of character that he can play.
And I thought he was
And I
good in this.
still buy into it.
Yeah.
He's
See, I
good.
as a
He's
fan
very
of the
good.
original movie, it's hard for me to watch this movie and not think about the original actors from the original movie. So
Mm-hmm.
Jürgen Prochnow played his character.
Oh, okay.
And what's his name? Max von Sydow played the lady who's like the dreadlock lady that became one of the Fremen. That was Max von Sydow in the original movie.
Okay.
And like, so whenever I was watching it, like that's what I was thinking of, like Patrick
Sure.
Stewart. I was thinking about like, and like, I don't know. Again, we'd mentioned this earlier. This movie seamlessly puts a finger on something that was a problem in the 80s, which is that
Sure.
Dune was a very white movie.
Oh yeah. Well,
And
yeah.
having like
absolutely,
characters that
yeah.
are darker, like Javier
Yeah.
Bardem as Stilgar, shit is amazing. It's like, yeah, that makes perfect fucking sense. So this movie to me,
He was really good too.
wasn't he?
Yeah.
Dude,
For what we
he's-
got from him, that was great.
when he spits, the scene when he comes in and he spits and everyone takes offense to it, and Josh Brolin acts like the way Arlie Emery would react, and then fucking Momoa is like, "No, we share our water with you. That's as is your custom."
Right.
That shit was so good.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a fucking movie, man!
I'm not stoked on Spitwater. That's gross. But
I know.
Listen,
and they
it
made
was-
the coffee with the spit. Yeah. Woof. What do you think about the weird religious undertones of this movie? Now here's the thing: in the Dune canon, you're looking for the Quetzalcoatl, who's like the god child or whatever, and then like he takes the name of the Muad'Dib, who's like the hand of God and all this stuff. This movie puts a fine finger on the actual confluence of like Islam with a planet like Arrakis, a desert planet. What do you think about that?
I didn't pick up on any of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was a very interesting way to play it because, again, puts a finger on the fact that the original Dune was such a white movie without saying
To
any
have
of it.
that kind of undertone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought, like, even the mosque-like scene with the Sadukan, with the army of the white guys in the white suits.
Yeah. Those guys were intimidating.
It's tough.
That was great.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh,
And they
man.
had like sacrifices going on and stuff. I was like, these dudes are hard.
What do you think of it as, like, a war movie?
It's good.
It, like, works as a war narrative,
it
right?
does. Yeah.
I mean, it takes away some of the mysticism, but you know, Paul and his mother are running away, and then the sandworm comes up and stops right at the rock. Shit like that happens in this movie, and you get an element of fantasism, but it doesn't ever go into that world.
of
You know what I mean?
total.
Of total fantasy.
Yeah, no, I like. I'm not gonna say like it made me think that like sandworms are real, but
No, but it didn't make you think that he had like some type of
it-
psychic connection with the sandworm, with the Shai Halud or whatever.
it did add a level of threat that otherwise would have just been from conflicting human beings.
Right. There's like a sense of stakes.
But there's also like a element of hope around the sandworms too, which is interesting. It's
Which is interesting
there's-
because you don't know
there's a
the
delicate
story like
thing
that.
going on there. Yeah.
Like, because like eventually you end up finding out that the sandworms like give the water of life, which then gives the Fremen the eyes of a bad. Like, there's like a whole thing with it. So it's like part of their religion, but that you picked up on it without knowing that from the other movie, which is the thing about a remake like this. Like the remake of Pet Sematary hinges on the fact that you've seen the original Pet Sematary.
It does.
With this one, I don't feel like that hinges on that.
Yeah, I don't think the director cared to do that.
Right. It
He
feels
made
like
his
its
movie.
own
He
thing.
wanted to make his movie. Could it have been like a weird, like, what do I do now? Because he's at this level where he can get budgets that other people will mess things up with money.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
maybe he just picked Dune because, it just has been unsuccessfully made.
That's true.
I don't know
mean-
his motives behind it, but so far I'm on board.
I'm 100% in.
Like,
This
I
movie
like
was
the story.
awesome.
I like how it looks. It looks like one of his movies, though. So, like, don't expect him to be doing anything different other than bigger, real world meets visual
Fantasy
effects.
world, yeah. I think that
in
it
a
looks
seamless way.
It looks like. Do you think it looked like Blade Runner 2049?
Yeah.
It did
Which
a
looks
lot,
like
right?
Arrival, which looks like
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah,
Okay,
that's like
all right.
he's been building up to
Plus
this.
Bautista
This
was
is
in that
his
movie
look.
as well. So, you know, because he gets
Another
his
guy
eyeball
that I
plucked.
constantly am impressed by.
That I'm constantly not expecting much from.
He is an actor.
And he keeps
He's not a
on bringing
wrestler
it.
that does acting.
He's an actor.
He's an actor.
Yeah, dude.
He's
'Cause,
100% an actor.
Everyone's gonna know him from Drax the Destroyer and all that stuff, but him
He's
showing
good
range
as Drax.
which is but him as Raban the Beast, fuck, he was like intimidating as fuck in this movie.
So good.
Oh man, so good, so good.
But then you can also see how he can portray humanity when he's playing the Remnant.
Yeah,
in
in
Blade
Runner. Yeah.
Yeah, the first one.
So good. What do you think of Baron Harkonnen?
Baron Harkonnen is
The floating guy.
Floating guy.
Yeah,
Name that actor.
that's Stellan Skarsgård, right?
That's who that is.
He was the.
He
what
was in
he
Thor.
in? Yeah, he was the scientist in Thor and in the Avengers. Yeah, he was awesome.
He's very awesome.
He's so good in this movie. Like he is intimidating
He is
without like
evil motherfucker.
So in the original David Lynch Dune, Harkonnen had like all these boils on his face, and he was like floating around. And Jack Nance, who's in all of Lynch's movies, he's like his servant. He's like working with him, popping the pustules and all that. And this didn't even rely on any of that. This just made him menacing, while still being ethereal, floating, and all that other stuff. Fuck, it was good, man. This movie is intense.
Yeah.
I think I loved it. What do you think about Zendaya as Chani? They didn't really give her much. She was the one that Timothée Chalamet, Paul is dreaming about.
Oh, yes.
And then he meets her as a Fremen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they didn't give her much in this one.
She didn't do much yet.
But she's, like, in the original story, again, which I keep referring to, she's the reason that Paul goes through, like, all these motions and, like, does a bunch of stuff because he's in love with her.
Okay. I assumed there was going to be a love interest with that, but really I just met her.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have no idea what's to come from, like, their relationship other than, like, that was kind of a goal of his from his premonitions was to meet this person, and that's kind of where we're left off after part one.
I didn't know it was a part one either. Did you know that going in? I had no idea. I thought it was going to be the whole thing.
And also, that's another thing, right? Like, so, like, he didn't try to cram it all into one movie.
In the 2 hours, yeah. No, it was really well paced. I thought that the sequences are really, really well thought out. The addition of the knife, the fucking knife made from the tooth of a
knives are
sandworm.
cool. Yeah.
That shit was hard as fuck.
Yeah, when
that's
they
not
first
the original.
brought that up, I was just like, that's cool.
Here are the things from the original that really bummed me out. Not bummed me out, that just made me be like, what the fuck? Number one, in the original movie, the House Atreides symbol is that they go into war with pugs strapped to their chest. So the whole movie, they have pugs running throughout House Atreides. And then when they go into war, after Duke Leto dies, what's his name, Gunny Halleck, played by Patrick Stewart, is like, for Duke Leto. And he runs out with the pug on his chest into war. Yeah, pug dog.
Dog.
In the whole movie.
Why?
It's fucking cool. I don't know why, but
Is
I
it
love
cool?
it. It was dope because they had the dog strapped to their chest and they're shooting guns and shit. She was dope, dude. It looked
that
awesome.
cool? I
It
don't know
looked
if that's
awesome as
cool.
fuck. I thought it looked cool. So they didn't have the dogs in
It
this movie.
seems like such an odd thing.
It's cool though. It's like that's the symbol of the house. That shit is awesome, man. It's like riding out with like your fucking roll dog, literally.
I wouldn't pick a pug.
I mean, who knows what House Atreides is picking their dogs from? I'm just saying. That shit was. I thought that shit was boss. And the other thing is that there was no Sting character. There was no Fade Ralpha, which, I mean, I'm sure it'll make his appearance in the second one.
You said he was a super important character.
Super important character to the story. Because, like, the thing is, Raban's the beast, and he was, like, brutal. But Fade was the pretty guy, but he was meaner than Raban. So, it's like, they were the ones who squeezed Arrakis and to try and make it, like, subjugated people.
I do have to say this. Like, how were the initial conquering family not having sandworm problems with those massive machines?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
The
they never
Harkonnen.
really addressed that.
Yeah, they didn't.
Like,
I
they
mean,
were
like,
just, like, beefing with the
whole
desert
concept
people.
in the original is that the Harkonnens were just bad people. So they didn't care if their sand carriers were killed by the sandworms and all that stuff. Just for spice production and all that, because they were greedy.
I just got the feeling that they just
didn't give a
that
fuck.
there was a lot of sandworms, right? Like,
Yeah.
couldn't they just, like, wipe out? Like, so sandworms just swallow those machines whole.
Yeah. What do you think about the sandworm design?
That's cool.
It looked good, right?
Yeah, no, it works.
Like, you know, there was a whole thing about not seeing it in the screens because the sandworms didn't look big. Seeing it on the screen with the sound, with the Dolby sound behind it, Shit was terrifying.
Yeah. No, it's menacing.
It is
Yeah.
an intense look.
Yeah, it definitely like I mean it doesn't even crest the sand to give you the idea of like it's a shark kind of.
So
But it's
brutal
like
looking.
10 times.
But then when they show the sand rider, the Fremen riding the sandworm at
Yep.
the end, that shit looked awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm pumped on it, man. I can't wait for the second one. I can't. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah, I just don't think it's like the greatest thing ever.
Okay.
But it's,
You're at, like-
it's everything I expected from
Villeneuve.
this director. Like I wish he would do another like Polytechnic movie
Okay. Like
or something like that when he was first cutting his teeth.
right.
But he's just so far past that. We're not going to.
He's in this big blockbuster zone right now.
I mean, he is.
Yeah.
He is the blockbuster. Like as far as like the Lucas
Pantheon
Spielberg
of, like,
world,
those
you know what
sci-fi
I mean?
directors.
Like,
yeah, the Ridley
like,
Scotts.
Right. Well,
He's like the new guy.
we'll see if he gets to Ridley Scott level. I mean, come on.
No, I see it though, man. He's got the pedigree. He's got the star power. He's got the money. So, what's your final thought on this? You suggest people see it?
Yeah, but you can't. You don't wait to go see it. It's it's a theater experience.
Yeah,
movie.
it's 100%.
If you see this at home, like
you're gonna miss out
You-
on something.
I seem bored by it because I know if I watched this at home, I would have been like, yeah, whatever.
Dude, see it on the biggest screen you can think of. You can find,
If you can.
and if you can find in Dolby sound. 100%.
Yeah, I mean,
The
I'm
sound
curious
design
to
is
see what
amazing in this
the
movie.
extra largeness does as far as like making the world look that much bigger.
Yeah,
But the sound is kind of important,
Kind
especially
of,
the
like-
sound stuff they can do to control people.
yeah.
Like I feel like you need that Dolby type of experience.
I agree. I definitely think if we didn't see it in Dolby, it wouldn't have been the same experience.
Yeah,
Which for me,
visually it would have been fine, but you're missing like that whole sound key.
the whole effect.
Yeah.
Like the chest rattling effect.
Like when the
of,
thumper is going,
Whoa.
is that what they called that?
Yeah.
That caused the sand.
the sand, it
Shia
calls the
LaBeouf?
sandworm.
Yeah.
Dude, so good
That's
because it's like
great. You can
shake-
feel it.
Dude, when there's a scene when she starts pounding. She says, "There's only one master I serve, is the Shai Hulud," and she starts pounding
That
the
might
sand.
be the sickest scene in the
That shit
entire
was
movie.
so fucking hard.
Producer.
Producer agrees.
No, don't be sorry. That's it. That was sick.
It was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I did. That's probably when I noticed that like the Shia LaBeouf like was more important than just being menace.
yeah, dude, so awesome. I'm gonna see it again in theaters. If you can see it in the biggest theater you can, loudest theater you can find.
Yes.
It's worth it. It's worth it to try and not see it on your TV. All right, episode 6, we did it. Good work. See you guys on the next one. Smoke bomb.